Hi there and welcome back to the Demand Drivers podcast. So today we are going to cover a really exciting topic about putting yourself in your customer's shoes and deciding, would you choose you? You know, would you create demand for your own business? And it's a really great exercise that all marketers and business owners should take.
Business owners should do it, Chris.
So my name is Chris and I'm from Melotti Media. We've got Mike Standys from Oddball Marketing and Kristen from Font and Swatch. And so we're going to cover this topic. Let's throw in.
Oh, before we go though, Chris, you're in the driver's seat.
I am. Sorry, I am
You're in the driver's seat, so you've got to tell us your favourite car and why.
I'm going to get sledged. I just know it. All right. But I have always had a soft spot for the red Ferrari F40.
Oh,
there we go.
God.
I'm going to get sledged.
Here we go.
But it always...
Okay, come on, tell us why.
Because the curves. The beauty, it looks so sexy. I have to admit. It's just there's not.
So is that your aspirational car to own, or is that
definitely? And it's not that I like. It's not that I'm like, oh, I have to have that Ferrari by like a certain age. I just, as a kid, I always had that Matchbox car, and I always was obsessed with Ferrari. And I just there's something about that red, sleek.
Have you got the picture?
Beautiful design.
Have you got the picture, and that's the aspiration?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I bet you do. Yeah,
but it's just
that's cool.
That's
cool. It's a beautiful
you see
car.
Them, they've got a nice sound, and there's something. Even every generation that comes out, that beautiful design, they always get it right. And so
I can't judge another man's car.
Right, I was going to get the Italian thing. I was waiting for it.
But yeah, but look, you know, it's all about your own passion, isn't it? So
I should put Kristen on the spot and say, what's the Pantone for...
I probably have their own Ferrari red, if I'm honest.
They do watch Ferrari red is the colour.
Ferrari red.
There you go.
There's Ferrari red.
It's just so pretty.
Talk about brand.
Right there.
So I want to throw it out to you guys. So the biggest thing is insulation when we're in our businesses. You know, we look at it and we do our marketing and we go, that's enough, that's good.
Inside
that's
looking
good.
out, yeah.
And look, I know my team do it. We all do. We're all guilty of it, right? Because you get stuck and insulated. So what I want to ask and pose today's topic is, you know, when you take a step back and you pretend that you're the customer, which is a great exercise to do, is if you looked at that brochure, if you looked at that website, that flyer, that ad, would you choose you?
Yeah, it's a good question.
And this is all about demand.
It's a hard one though, too. It's so hard to take yourself out of your own business and to look at things with actual genuine...
like different perspective, right?
And
it's all, that's what it comes down to, right?
Yeah, but I mean, so we work a lot, as you know, we work a lot in sport. We work a lot with services businesses, and this is the area that we see all the time, where within those markets, a lot of businesses think they are being different to everybody else and come to the market, and actually they're quite challenging markets to be appearing unique and looking really different and showing that you have a unique value proposition. And what you often find, particularly in services businesses and medium-sized services businesses, quite guilty of it, is they mirror. Rather than looking from the outside in, they mirror what they think their customer should be and therefore talk to that, and that mirror is usually a reflection of themselves.
And so what would be the shortcoming there? Oh, sorry, like while you're on what's the shortcoming? Because people are probably listening going, what does that mean?
So what that means, so the shortcoming is, in isolation, it's okay. When there's only one, it's okay, because what they usually mirror is exactly what the business values want to be and the fundamentals of the business and what you would normally associate with a business working in that market sector. The challenge you have, though, is you're not the only one doing it.
Yeah.
So everybody's, many competitors are doing it. So what you've lost in the absolute fundamental of branding, you're not unique.
Yeah.
If you're not unique, nobody can remember you for anything or differentiate your service proposition from the next person's. So if you're a copywriter, Chris, and all you were doing was just doing copywriting and reflecting your colours, your fonts, your tone of voice, the same way every copywriter thought that should be reflected, you all look the same. So as me as a customer comes along and says, guess what, guys? I can't tell the difference between any of you. So what's...
Oh, sorry.
The first thing they go to is, and the first question you keep getting back is price.
And so
well, everything becomes commoditized, right?
Yep.
You're no different to anyone else. So then what do I judge you based on? Well, the one variation that I can see quite easily is
dollars.
Yeah. And so, and this brings us back to the exercise, which is sometimes you have to be bold and go, why am I different? And if I was my customer,
I wouldn't say bold though. I think you've actually got to do it. You've got to articulate. It's not about being bold. You've actually got to sit
it's a
there.
necessity.
You've got to stand from the outside and you've got to say, why am I unique? What's different in my value proposition?
Yeah.
And how am I going to get that across?
The only thing I challenge you there on is about the thinking of this whole unique proposition. And I think it's very important that we sort of look at that and say, well, that can be very beneficial, particularly for larger businesses. You really want to look at what sets you apart from all of the other competitors out there. If you look at a lot of small and mid-market businesses, though, they're commoditized service in their own right because they do the same thing as everyone else does. Yeah. So it's not necessarily about what you do unique, but what is one of your key strengths? Yeah. What is it that you just do just that little bit better than others do? So it doesn't have to be necessarily unique because you talk to a plumber or a painter or something.
So they're still doing plumbing services, for example.
I see what you mean.
But what is it? You know, is it there's something about the way they deliver that service or their own their own sort of like value proposition that is making them unique, whether it's that they, you know, it can be a functional aspect, which is we turn up on time all the time, we have a 1 hour response time, you know, some of those can be their core values. Otherwise, it could actually just be the personality, or maybe it's a focus around, actually, we only operate for this type of customer base. So we really narrow down into that type of customer base. So that's understanding what your true value proposition is that can drive.
And I think I agree with you, Mike, is that for me, authenticity is the main key. I think, like, as in, you can't separate yourself if it's not authentic. You can't just go, we've got this particular attribute, so we're going to just shine light on it and hope that it works. Like, I think it needs to come from a genuine place as well. Like you said with the plumbers, right? It can't just be, I know that their thinking would be, we do plumbing services. But it's like, I mean, I've written for a plumbing business in Melbourne, and they said the same thing. They were like, I don't care what you write on the website, just write it. It's the same stuff. And I was like, well, guys, what do you do differently? And they said, we use a lot of technology being a young business. And I said, what's the implications of that? And then they said, we are able to then use technology to save them time and costs, and that we can get into places that other plumbers can't. And I was like, why isn't that pasted all over your website? And they were like, do it. And that's the thing. And then so that brings us back to, that's that exercise of, if you were Googling plumbing services in that area and you have all those tabs open, like, what is separating yourself? And that's what I think business owners and marketers don't do. And the reason is because we're fast-paced world. You know, there's all these, brands and businesses and noise out there. And so the problem we have is that maybe complacency. Would you say complacency?
Oh, look, I don't think it's just complacency. It's actually, particularly if you're in a services business, you're in it because you believe you offer a fantastic service and you do it better than everybody else. Challenge is, if Chris and I were in the same business, I would believe that, but Chris would also believe it. So you've actually got to be able to articulate that to the audience and the audience to be able to perceive that value difference.
The key thing there, though, is it also has to be something that's actually genuinely valuable to the customer side, that they actually look at it and say, okay, because we see so many businesses, we kind of talk about, okay, so what's your strength? What makes you different and stuff? And it's, well, we care about our customers. As if no other business could give a crap about their customer.
We provide a quality service. You're like, yes, so does the 13 others around you in your postcode.
That's not an advantage.
And it's a tricky one. And so if we were to say to our audience, like, what is it that you can do here? I just think it requires a lot of time. Like, for me, I separate myself from the business at times, at least once a week. And I'll go, what is it that we're doing that's getting people to think about us in a different way? And I think that's what business owners and marketers need to do, this exercise, right? And it doesn't happen. I mean, from my experience, it doesn't happen when you're in the nitty gritty. Like, if you're in the middle of work, you can't go, what does my customer think? Oh, that's it. You just can't. I think it takes, getting away on holiday, something, dog walking, something, that you can go, what is it that I do differently? I mean, what do you guys do? Do you guys do anything?
Yeah, we do that. But the other thing we do, which I think is one of the key ones, we ask our customers.
Yeah, well, here you go.
Because at the end of the day, your customers have decided to use you for a particular reason. Now,
so why?
And if what you'll find is over time they keep saying the same things about why they chose you over somebody else that was offering potentially similar services, etc. So if you keep asking them that question,
Yep.
at the end of the engagement is always good rather than the beginning.
Yep.
You'll get a good playback as to, okay, this is the way we're perceived, and then you can start to assess whether you think that's the way you want to be perceived or not, and what action you have to take to either change it or amp it up a little bit.
Yeah.
But don't, I would definitely say if you want to be successful in a services business, you really need to be able to evidence that you do have a clear value proposition, as you were saying, Mike, but you also need to be able to evidence that through being unique in the way that we would say it, visually doing it, but also in the tone.
And it's not just
tone and
product,
language,
it's also product,
the messaging.
Right?
Yeah.
Do that consistently.
I mean, when we look at this, this question itself, in terms of putting yourself in the customer's shoes, if you look at the skill sets of a good marketer, there's two core questions or I suppose skills and approaches that we take every single time we're working with a client. First one is why. The ability to keep asking why. So you get to the root cause and the root understanding of things. That's number one. Number two, all we do is sit there and think about, hang on, if I was the customer, how would I approach this?
Yep.
So any client that comes in our doors, I'm sitting there and they're asking them why. And then secondly, I'm thinking about, so let me just think about, if I was your customer, if I was someone with a problem that you're solving, what would I be going through? How would I be feeling?
Yeah.
Where
and
would I
that's
be?
that exercise, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
the exercise
yeah.
of
That's
like
all we're
asking
doing.
yourself. So
I think we're out of time, Chris.
So
Yep.
as the driver in the driver's seat, look, I would say for listeners, watchers, it's if you're a business owner or a marketer, it's the time now to get outside of your business and go, look at my marketing. Why? Why would people choose you? And would you choose you? And what's the reason for that? And that will help you increase demand. So thank you for listening to the Man Drivers podcast. And we'll join you in the next episode.
Thank you.
Thank you.